Hi, and welcome to my two-part tutorial about narration and subtitle system for the Unreal Engine 4. This is my first tutorial ever that I'm doing for you. I hope you enjoy it and you find it useful. Let me just quickly show you what we are about to create. So I'm just gonna press play here.
Hello, Fred. Sorry for waking you up. I'm sure it's nothing to be alarmed about, but there hasn't been any communication from the...
Okay, so you've just heard a part of a narration in my game. The system I'm going to show you I use in my game into the maze. You can see in the links below. And it's based on the sequencer and event track of a blueprint, a special blueprint I'm making, a narration manager. And it's a really easy system to set up and implement in your game, in which you can just bring your audio here, the narration, as you can see here, and really easily tell the system when do you want each line or the next line to be displayed, and you just time it yourself. I'm just going to show you quickly. Here is the timeline, and I can listen to it.
I'm sure it's nothing to be alarmed about, but there hasn't been any communication.
Okay.
There hasn't been...
Here's the but, she's saying but, and now I'm gonna add here just one more. And I'm gonna change here, just add one more line to my text here, and I'm gonna write, but there hasn't been any communication from the Mars base. Now when I hit the play button again, you'll see the fourth line added.
I'm sure it's nothing to be alarmed about, but there hasn't been any communication from the Mars base.
Super easy to implement, and I can change the subtitles whenever I want. So let's dive in and see how I did it. The first part is about the setup. The second part is going to be more about the coding of the blueprint and the logics. And if you find this useful, please subscribe and follow me also on Twitter. You have all the information in the description. So this is the first part. We are about to begin, and let me show you the first step. So now in this step I want to define the widget blueprint. The widget blueprint is a blueprint that is in charge of displaying UI elements over your display. How do I create it? Just gonna right click here, and I'm gonna choose user interface and widget blueprint. Okay, and I'm gonna give it a name. Let's call it Subtitles Blueprint. Okay, catchy name. And you see this blueprint is a sort of a designer. You can put elements here, text, boxes, whatever, and it's going to be displayed on top of your screen. And I have access also here to an event graph that I can manipulate and control the functionality of this UI element, just as I have in any other blueprint in Unreal, which is very, very cool. So let's bring the first component here, and the only component actually. It's a text component. Okay, I'm just gonna drag it down here and gonna give it here a name. Let's call it subtitle. Okay, and I'm gonna leave the text the text here default, but I want to anchor it to this part of the screen, and let's reset everything here, and I want to center its alignment. And also I'm going to use size to content. This will ensure that whatever text I write, it will not be cut off from this box. It's going to fit to the text that I'm writing. And I'm going to position it a little bit higher, I think around there. Okay, so here where is my subtitle is going to show up. I also want to give it a bigger font, and let's give it a nice orangey color. Okay, good. And now I want to control this text, because the idea is I want to be able from a different blueprint to change this text according to the line that I want from my narration, right? So what I need to do is turn this component into a variable so I can control it. How do I do it? You see here, there's a small tick box here. I'm just gonna turn it on, and now I can control it as a variable. This is extremely important to tick this box, otherwise you won't have control over this in the event graph. Let me show you. I'm going to hit compile. Now when I go to the event graph, you see I have here subtitle, this little thingy here. This means I have control over this thing. It's the same thing actually. And now I'm going to write a small event that's gonna change this text whenever I call it, according to a line that I want to change it to. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna write a custom event. I'm gonna call it display line. Okay, and from it I'm gonna take our subtitle variable. I'm gonna get it, and upon it I wanna do a function which is setText. Okay, this setText function is going to change for this for the subtitles. It's going to change the text it holds to whatever text I put here. Okay, so but I want to be able to change the text on the fly from a different blueprint. So I want a different blueprint to be able to send its information down to this blueprint, to the widget blueprint, and use this function to change it. Okay, so how I'm going to do it, I'm going to just this is a nice trick. I can pull from here and use it on the node, and now in the node I have an output node, an input node. You see here, and I'm going to write it. I'm going to call it line to show. Okay. And whatever information that is coming through here, through line to show to set text, is gonna go here and change this this subtitle, this current subtitle. And we're gonna show how it works exactly as we continue. Okay, so this is our first blueprint set up, the subtitle blueprint. Okay, great. So let me just fix this typo before we continue. Very annoying. Okay, and now the next thing we need is we need to create subtitle manager. This is going to take care of the lines, showing them, counting them, and displaying the relevant one. So let's create a new blueprint. Going to right click, blueprint class. It's an actor class. It's the most basic blueprint, and we're going to call this Subtitles manager. Okay, great. So first thing first, I'm gonna get rid of these two, and the first thing I want to do is I want to create the widget, and I want to choose the widget I just created, Subtitles blueprint widget. This is going to create the widget in the memory. And after it created it, I want to save the reference. So this output is the reference of the widget just created. I'm going to pull from it and release and do promote to variable. I'm going to call it Subtitles widget reference. Okay, I'm using it. I'm doing this because I want to use it again later, and I don't want to recreate it every time. I just want to be able to take my reference like this and like manipulate it, which is the same thing as here. It's the same output. And now I want to display this reference, okay, because it created the widget in the memory, but it didn't display it yet. So now I'm going to use the add to viewport this widget. Okay, and now theoretically, if we press play, we won't be able to see anything yet. Okay, because, and this is very important, for this method to work, our subtitle manager has to be in the level that we want it to work. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter where, it just has to be somewhere in the level, because Also, our level blueprint is going to access it. It needs to be in the level, and also it needs to play the begin play event here is only going to play if it's in the level. Okay, so now if I'm going to play, you're going to see the widget is turned on. Only thing I want to change here, because when we begin the game, we don't want to see anything yet because there's no text. No text should be displayed yet. So I'm gonna create a new event, new custom event. This is just for so everything will be orderly. Just gonna call this clear subtitles. I hope I can type now. Okay, and I'm gonna take my reference. I'm gonna take my blueprint. Okay, this is the widget, the reference of the widget. This one we just created before. Okay, remember this one? This is the reference for it, for this one. And now you're gonna see I'm gonna have access to this function, this event, from here, from my subtitles manager. Okay, let's do it, and display line. You see? So now I'm actually controlling the widget through my subtitle manager blueprint, through this blueprint. Out here, this one is controlling this one, the widget. Okay, so all I want to do is tell him the line to show. Remember that we set it up, the line to show to nothing. I want it to show here nothing. This will go through here and show, and will just blank out. Okay, if I do play now, it doesn't work. Oh, why? Why doesn't it work? Because I forgot to tell it in the begin play. The function I just made, the event I just made, the clear subtitles. Oopsie. Right? Just gonna call it clear subtitles. Right? Now if I press play, it's gone. Nice. So now I'm gonna create a list of subtitles that I want the subtitle manager here to display one line after the other. So I'm going to create a new blueprint, and I'm going to create a struct, okay, a structure. Structure is going to be like the building blocks of our list. This is going to tell our list what's the information it's going to hold. Okay, so let's call it subtitles struct. And when I go into it, I can now start defining the building blocks, the types I want the list to hold. And I want two variables. The first one is a text. This is going to be the line that I want to show, line to show. The second one is going to be a sound file, sound base. Okay, now narration sound. And this is the narration sound, which is going to be played while displaying the line to show. But this we're going to use the second one only in our second method I'm going to show you. For the first one, we're only going to use the line to show. But I'm doing both of them just to save time later. So for now, just follow me and do these two data types, and you'll see later why I only need one. Okay, so I made the structure to hold the information that I'm gonna use to build my list. Now let's build the list. So I'm gonna do another, I'm gonna go into right click and miscellaneous, okay, and I'm gonna do a data table, okay, and this is a list. Whenever I'm doing a new list, I'm doing a new data table. Whenever there's a new narration sequence, I'm doing a new list, I'm doing a new data table. Pick row structure, I'm gonna pick the subtitle struct. I'm gonna do this every time I'm doing this kind of list. And this is the first list I'm creating, and I know I'm gonna use it for the AI narration that the ship computer voice you see here. So let's call it ship computer subtitle list. Nice. And now when I'm going into it, I see it's a row, it's empty now, and it's based on the struct that we just built, on this struct. What it means that whenever I add a new row to this list, I have in each row, you see new row, I can give it a name. Let's call it 1, very descriptive. I have 2 data types in each row. Line to show. Okay, let's call it hello. This is the line I wanted the blueprint, the widget to display. And the sound I would want it to play in future methods. For now, let's just leave it like this. And great, so we have our list set up, and we're going to fill it soon with subtitles just to show you how it works. In order to continue, I want to create a new level sequence. A level sequence is a timeline that you use to play animations or events or sounds, and I'm going to use it in order to play my sound, my audio file, my narration file, and I can use it also to sync it up with events. The events I'm going to use to sync it up are going to be stored in my subtitle manager. Okay, so let's see what I mean. I'm going to create a new animation levels sequence. Okay, let's call it ship computer narration level sequence. I'm going to create a new level sequence for each narration sequence I'm using for this method. For now, I only have one sequence here in the list that I haven't populated yet, but we're gonna do that. But it's only one list I'm gonna play of one audio file and only one level sequence. So now let's open it. It's completely empty. Okay, there's nothing in it. And now I can grab my audio file. Okay, and place it inside my level sequence. All right, I'm gonna take my level sequence and also put it in the level. It's very important, so I can use the level blueprint in order to play it. And actually, let's do it now. Because I want this sequence to play whenever the level begins, I'm going to do it through the level blueprint. I'm clicking on the level sequence itself. I'm going into the level blueprint, open level blueprint here, and on begin play. Now, because I've chosen this one, I just clicked on it and it's selected. In the level blueprint, I can right click and do create a reference to ship computer. You see, I can do a reference to this level sequence. This is only possible in level blueprints. It doesn't work in other blueprints. Only level blueprints can allow you to choose something and bring a reference straight into the level blueprint itself. Okay, so I have this reference, and now I can, because it's a level sequence, I can use the play function on it. I'm just typing play, okay, and connect it here, okay, and whenever the level is going to fire up, whenever I'm doing play, it's going to fire up the sequence. It's now playing, okay. Great, so now let's edit the subtitles track. So in order to do that, I need to choose my manager, okay, my subtitle manager. Again, it has to be in the level for this to work, like I'm putting it here now. And now, because it's in the level, I can go into my sequence, my ship computer narration sequence with the audio file, and I can go to track, actor to sequencer, and I can add a subtitle manager. You see, I can add it here. Now I can track this, the subtitle manager. I'm going to add a new event. Okay, and now I can just call events whenever the time comes. At the times I set here, I can just call the events, and they're going to be played in sync with the audio above it. Okay, it's very, very, very easy. And then I can just go through the audio file and choose where I want the next subtitles to be displayed. When the function I'm going to create to display the next subtitle is going to fire. Okay, so in order to do that, actually I cannot call events for here. I don't know how. I only know how to call functions in the subtitle manager, and I'll show you how to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function that is going to call an event. Okay, so that's the way I'm going to do it. So I'm going to my subtitle manager again. Okay. And I'm going to do create a new function here. Okay, let's call it call this function show line. Oh, sorry, I don't already have it. Sorry. It's from previous work. We're just gonna create it again. Show line. Okay, this is the function. And in the event graph of the Subtitle Manager, I'm gonna do another thing. I'm gonna create a custom event, which I'm gonna call show next line. Okay. Okay, and this is actually what's gonna call the next line. This function I created here, show line, is only for passing information from the level sequence. Actually, for the level sequence to call this function, and this function will call the event. Okay, this is how I'm doing it. So here in the show line, I'm gonna call the function, the event show next line. Okay, it's this next line. Don't forget to compile so you see all your function and events. Okay, and just to see that it's working, here in the show next line, I'm gonna do a small print string just to see that it's firing something. Okay, that it's working. And now back in my here in my level sequence. Okay, now when I go on the in the event track, okay, of my Subtitle Manager, I can now do a right click. Sorry, I can do a new event here. Just press this, and now I can, you see I have a little key here. Now I can right click on this key, and I can go and do go to event here to the functions, create quick binding. Okay, and now I see a list of all the functions available to me here in this Subtitle Manager blueprint, and I'm gonna choose this function. I just created show line. Okay, and show line is gonna call the function. This function is in the level sequence blueprint. Okay, it's called the sequence director. This one calls show line. Show line calls show next line. Okay, so whenever this event is coming, whenever I play and the timeline hits this, it's going to this call show line 0. It calls show line. Show line calls show next line. Okay, and then this event will fire. So what I should see here now is the small print string hello being displayed on the left top left here. Let's see if it's working. It's gonna happen in around after almost 2 seconds. Okay, let's see.
Hello, Fred. Sorry for
see hello here.
I'm sure it's nothing to be
Small hello. And now I can actually very easily just take this, copy and paste it a few times, and then when I play, it will just gonna fire hello, 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 hello. See, very easy. So now what I just created is a system. I created a way for me just to change here some code, some logics here to create it, to change the print string, and whenever this fires, it will just be fired here. And now we're going to create that logics, that code, just to show our next subtitles. That's it for part 1, and I'll see you in the next part. Thank you for staying.